All right, we didn't finish last week the Dvar Malchut. We got up to the point of what to do. If you remember what the Rebbe was talking about last week, he was speaking about the fact that God told Moses to come with him, with God, to see Paro is very strange. The Rebbe explained what it means is that Paro in his source is something tremendously, tremendously good. When it comes tumbling down into this world, it comes out to be something very terrible. But in its source, the word Paro means to be totally revealed, like Priya. And this was a preparation for the giving of the Torah. When God revealed himself to all the Jews, souls and bodies, human beings in this world, that's what God wanted, that Moses, as a human being, should have a connection to these tremendously high levels of reality, the essence of God, the reason for the creation of the world. We just finished learning the upper name of God, so to speak. To the degree that such a special thing, the first of the 10 commandments is, I am God that took you out of Egypt. Egypt, God wants there to be a world and he wants there to be free choice. And if so, evil is part of God's will, essence will, that people should be able to choose bad and not to do it, to refrain from. It's a big novelty if people refrain from doing bad, because bad is a tremendously high source in godliness. Some people made the mistake that if God makes it so, it must be good. Huh? Big mistake. All right, so the fact that Moses went into this tremendously high level, he brought it down to us also, and that's the whole secret of the future redemption. And that also is relevant to the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Well, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe also experienced the essence of what evil was. He fought single-handed battle against Stalin's communism, the worst type of form of communism. I don't know if it's worse than Mao's type of form, but anyway, I guess that Stalin killed less people than Mao did just because he had access to less people. I mean, there was only how many Russians are there? 200 million or something, and Mao Zedong, he had like a billion, right? So proportion-wise, he killed more people, Stalin, proportion-wise, than Mao did. And proportion-wise, Pol Pot from Cambodia killed more than both of them. He killed like a third of his whole population in the whole country. Communism, all in the name of communism, all in the name of communism. So that was like, the angel of death was communism. Those are very hard times. You know, we had the Nazis, they were there, they really wanted to kill people, but at least they killed strangers. At least it's a sort of a normal. Here, these people killed their own people. And killed their own people. Anyway, and yet he is the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe faced both of them. He was in Poland when the Nazis attacked Poland right in the beginning of the first place they attacked, in the beginning of World War II. And he was in communist Russia right in the height of Stalin's evil power, right in 1929, 28. And so he saw all this evil when he came to America. So he had wanted to bring this good, the essence of this into the world. That's the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Okay, what are we supposed to do? Now we are in the days of the preparation for Yud Shvat. Yud Shvat, again, just to remind everybody, Yud Shvat was the day the previous Rebbe passed away. That was in 1950. And the next year, the Rebbe, his successor, his son-in-law, he took over. He's the leader of our generation. That in addition, Kishen Alel ben Nasi Ador, the leader of the generation, the previous Rebbe, and by means of him, all the people of our generation, women of the generation, children, etc., each and every Jew in our generation, men, women, children, should take on themselves hachlatot, resolutions, tovot, good resolutions, b'nogea l'kol inyanim, regarding to everything shetavu bala hilula that the previous Rebbe demanded from us. First of all, ner mitzvah v'torah or says that the commandments are a lamp and the Torah is the light. Learning Torah. You have to learn Torah, the written Torah and the oral Torah. That, by the way, is the main feature of how you know who Moshiach is. The essence of Moshiach is that he brings the Jews, or he tries to bring all the Jews to the Torah. That's the whole essence of it. If there's someone who's a great person and charismatic and he heals the sick and he raises the dead and he does all these things, but he doesn't bring Jews to the Torah, or he changes what it says in the Torah, but the Torah, then you know that that person is a faker. He's an imposter. The written Torah and the oral Torah, as it comes to us from the rabbis, not he says, I'm a rabbi and I changed the laws. That's the main thing of the Mashiach, is that he brings Jews to learn Torah and to do the Torah according to what it says in the Shulchan Aruch, according to the Jewish law book. The Kaim of mitzvahs and doing the commandments in the most, the best way, the most, how do you say, special and happy way, exact way, whether regarding to himself or others, and also spreading out Torah and Judaism. Don't keep it to yourself. Invite other people to your house. Talk to other people about other Jews, about what it means to be a Jew. Spreading out also the secrets of the Torah, the teachings of Hasidut, in a way that Boal Paro, like it was by the Moses that he went into Paro, that each and every Jew should be, every Jew should be a vessel, should be an instrument to receive, as Priyo Kol Anoim, the deepest awareness of God that there can be, of the two big Ma'oros HaGadolim, what the two big luminaries, the written Torah and the oral Torah, the revealed Torah and the inside of the Torah. Kolel, especially by means of adding and learning the Maimorim of the previous Rebbe himself and doing what he said. All of this is especially emphasized, that every person should accept on himself to learn this Maimorim, the speeches, the discourses of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Yashlim B'Lomei Kol Shechaser, and continue and do everything he can to spread out the teachings of Hasidut, because that have been withheld from you, that you didn't do because of all sorts of excuses and preventions and difficulties. Like, for instance, Moses, he couldn't speak, so Aaron spoke for him. The same thing, the previous Rebbe couldn't speak, so we have to speak for him. The Rebbe can't speak, so we speak for him, because they're not in the world. So whether learning the details of the speeches, or whether we're talking about not just learning for yourself, but spreading these ideas out to others. So in other words, what the Rebbe is trying to say over here is to enliven Judaism, make Judaism dynamic. In order to do that, you have to have the basis of Judaism. You have to have the motor and the gasoline, the fuel, and that's the Torah and the commandments. Once you have the Torah and the commandments, then you can go and inspire others to also do the Torah and the commandments, to inspire them that they're Jews. Jews, you should keep Shabbos. I mean, it's happening in a big way in Israel now. The fact is, especially because of this insane, ridiculous war that we're in the middle of, right? That's impossible to understand how it began, how they let terrorists come in and just kill and rape and murder for 6 hours. Nobody stopped them. Nothing organized. It's possible to understand. But now that they did send the soldiers in, the soldiers more and more are starting to realize what a Jew is. That these people hate us because we're Jews. They don't care about the land. They wouldn't know what to do with the land. Right? They got enough land. They got land all over the place. They got land in Saudi Arabia. They got put them in the desert, put them a million places, right? It's not the part of the land. They hate us because we're Jews. And we said, but what do we do wrong to be Jews? What's wrong with being a Jew? And suddenly we start to realize what's wrong with being a Jew is that we represent good. We represent life. We represent meaning. We represent blessing. The Jews represent holiness. The Jews represent the Torah and the commandments. We're different from everybody else. We came to bring good into the world, love into the world. That's the Torah and the commandments. Therefore, we have to do Torah and commandments and encourage others to do it because it's the truth. That's who they are. I mean, the Jews have been doing Torah and the commandments for 3,300 years, not because they've had a good advertising company that has advertised and convinced everybody, big billboards all over the place, or because we've been threatening people, if you don't do it, you're going to go to hell. Right? We see that doesn't work with the Jewish people. Why are we doing the Torah of mitzvahs? Why? Because it's true. Because it's true. The Jews have been suffering because they did the Torah of mitzvahs. They've been tortured because they did Torah. They've been evicted from lands because they're doing Torah of mitzvahs. But Torah of mitzvahs are true. In more detail, Bali Elula, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he devoted himself to Kol Sug, all different types of Jews. Lefi Inyano, Kefi Sharo, Et Panim, Atzovot, Vasamachot. Each Jew, according to his own nature, his own ability, his own observance, his own awareness, his own education, their personalities. You could see that the previous Rebbe was always happy and pleasant, that he showed to every single Jew, men, women, and children. Men according to their thing, women according to theirs, children according to theirs. Each one individually. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe was a truly amazing person. And there's a story. Maybe I'll tell the story at the end of the class. I'll tell the story about that. Just 1 second. Okay. And this is one of the novelties of the leader of our generation. When the Rebbe always would say that the Rebbe is the previous Rebbe and that he's just an extension. We see also that the previous Rebbe, in his last years, especially, he gave himself over to spreading out Judaism. Now, the previous Rebbe was paralyzed. When he came to Israel, when he came to America twice. He came to America once in 1929, after he was released from Russia, and then he came to America and he stayed almost a year, and then he came again in 1940 to run away from the war. When he came the second time, he came in a wheelchair. And he was there in America for 10 years, and he got progressively more paralyzed. The last years of his life, he especially devoted himself to education, to Torah and spreading out Torah. Women, girls, and children of Israel. And he would write letters, general letters to all the Jews in Israel, all the Jews in the world. Even though that we find that there were other great Jews that did this, but Harizel Loit Kabel Itzakulam, but not all the Jews. The great rabbis that were before, they would write letters or try to have an influence, let's say, of all the Jews in Morocco, all the Jews in Spain, the Jews in France. It was very difficult for them to have a relation, an influence on all the different types of Jews. The previous Rebbe had if you come to Kfar Chabad, the previous Rebbe, he established Kfar Chabad the year right before he passed away. And one of the first things he sent emissaries, the previous Rebbe sent emissaries to Morocco and to Tunisia, that they're still there today. The emissaries of the Rebbe. And the reason was because there began a French influence in these places. And to counteract that with the alliance, the education, and to counteract that, the Rebbe sent that he saved hundreds, if not thousands, of Jewish children from intermarrying. They went to France, a lot of them, and they just assimilated. But the Rebbe prevented that. The Rebbe prevented it. You come to Kfar Chabad, you can see there's a whole big section of Kfar Chabad that was where the Moroccan Jews lived. In Lud, for instance, there's a whole big section where the Bukhari lived, and the Gruzini in Israel, in Kfar Chabad also. There's from Georgia, Georgia, which is not the case what the Rebbe did when, I'm sorry, okay. So there were always great Jews that had an influence on all the Jews in their country, or all of the Jews of their, how do you say, their persuasion, right? Ashkenazic Jews, Sephardic Jews, etc., which is not the case the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. What he taught reached everywhere in the world. It continued on. And by means of that, he added, how do you say, disproportionately in teaching Torah to women and children. Before that, there's so many people that they didn't know that the Torah was the possession of all the Jewish people everywhere for all generations. The Torah was, they thought Torah is for the learned people. They sit and who knows what they do in those rooms. They learn these old books or something like that. They never thought that Torah was a living thing for everybody. Every type according to his place. Hadgasham Yochad is the special one of the women and the children, especially the women and the children and Benos Yisrael, girls and women and children. That in addition to their service, Atzon themselves, and Nifalas al Yedezeh, Hosafa Gam Ba'avodas, call B'nei Abayit, that if a woman becomes observant, then that affects all of her children, everyone in the house. The unique thing of children is you have to educate them little by little, according to their abilities. You can't teach a child that's 5 years old Talmud. So first of all, you have to teach them to read Hebrew, and then you teach them the Chumash, right, the 5 books of Moses, in a way that they can understand. And what's like it says, Yosef, Yosef hechin lechem lefiatav, like at Yosef HaTzadik, right, the son of Jacob, when he went to Egypt, so he prepared bread for the mouths of the children. In other words, he fed Yosef, and the biblical Yosef provided for everybody. The same thing, our Yosef, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe was called Yosef, for everyone. In addition to this, the nature of a child is that when he eats, he makes a mess. That by means of this, the food can reach others. It says leparer means that he breaks it up. He doesn't eat the whole thing himself. A child, when he learns something, his nature is that he gives over to others. To give to others that they can't receive more than just little tiny brews. When he sees a child, I remember when I was in school, and I wasn't religious. Nobody was religious. I lived in it was a Jewish community, but nobody was religious. There was no one kept Shabbos. I didn't know anybody that. There was one boy that was there that he had tzitzis on. He wore tzitzis. He didn't have a yarmulke. He wore tzitzis. And I was so amazed, I said, what in the world? It was very small. It was under his, what is that? What tzitzis? What in the world? What purpose, what function does it serve? It keeps you warm. No, he says it's a commandment. It's part of Judaism. I don't know if he did it because it was a commandment, because of his, it was just a part of the heritage or whatever. But nevertheless, it was a Jewish thing that you did because you were Jewish. It wasn't like a sign. You had a sign. You had around your neck. You had a chai or something like that. But you had a mezuzah because people do it. It's not because God told you to do it. Suddenly, it was very strange to me. I remember the same thing now. You see one child, he wears a kippah, a yarmulke, the other children, and he's not ashamed of it. So another children put it on. Why can't I do it also? You see the children, when they do things of Torah or mitzvahs, it catches on to other children, especially if you do it in a natural, proud way. By means of this, it shines up their houses in the whole entire world. That's what it's called, Ner Mitzvah Torah, and Torah way that it's spread out all these lights, like we said before. Like we can see simply that when you light one candle, it makes the whole room light. And that's because it's, especially if it's a holy candle, let's say Shabbat, and you make a blessing on it. So that makes the whole room illuminated with holiness. Like just like Moses, it says that he went into Paro, that Paro is the source of all spiritual lights. And that's now our ability that Moses, a soul and a body, a human being, could connect to the essence of all being. And now we can do it also. If a Jewish girl, especially, she lights Shabbos candles, so it illuminates the whole house, which is which is not the case. The other commandments, Yocham, there can be in a way that one commandment is separate from the other one. Light is not so. Light encompasses everything. Light, so it's a candle, especially like the language of the Rebbe, Maleim mitzvahs karimon, that every Jew is filled with commandments like a pomegranate is filled with seeds. It's true that every Jew is filled, but they are divided one from the other, and they're all covered up, like the seeds which are in a pomegranate, which is not the case of lighting candles. A girl lights candles, so it illuminates everything. According to this, now we can understand how it is by means of Nerot Shabbos Kodesh, the lights of Shabbat of the women and the Jewish, and the women and the girls. Jewish. This adds doing the commandments of all of the family. There's a story, it's a very long story, and I'll just say it in a short way, that there was a girl that came from a totally non-religious family. Totally non-religious. For whatever reason it was, she decided she wants to light Shabbos candles. She wants to light it. So she told her mother, the mother said, "What's this?" She lighted a Shabbos candle. So her mother said, well, if you're going to light the Shabbat candles, then, we don't want any part of it. The next Shabbat, her mother said, well, why light it over there on this side? Light it over another part where there's not nice pictures. They had all these pictures of nakedness and whatever it is. So this side is them. So then the candles lit up the room, and the mother said, well, it's not nice to have all these pictures, in the room when she's lighting the candles. So take the candle, all the nasty pictures, take off the wall. And then little by little, the father decided that her mother lit candles. And then they decided they're going to put a mezuzah on that room, on that door. And little by little, it just got more and more until they decided, listen, it's a good thing. It's a light. We're Jews. Why not, just be revealed Jews? Why just be Jews in our heart? Let's be Jews in our arm. This is by means of this. This has an effect of everyone in the house, and also the husband and the children. Oh, Shalom Menachem. Well, the children. And we're just finishing up the end of the Dvar Malchut that we didn't finish last week. So girls, everyone should try to do one more commandment, especially girls lighting Shabbos candles. This is very important. When they do this, this is the opening, the door that brings in the whole Shabbat for everyone in the family. And after that, they can come the prayers of Shabbat, Kiddush, the men make Kiddush on wine. And similarly is also, like it says in the Gemara, that by means of lighting candles of Shabbat, you merit to have children who are Talmudic scholars. Like it says, Ner mitzvah v'Torah or, by means of the Ner mitzvah, the light of the commandments of Shabbat, there comes the light of the Torah. People start to learn the Torah. Especially those people who are in the house and feel the lights of Shabbat. We can say that this is also hinted at the numerical value of Ner. The numerical value of the word Ner is 250, which is 248 positive commandments. And the two combined with love and fear comes out to 250. In general, we can learn from this that the service of a Jew has to be in a way of Esperiu Kol Nahorim. That's what we said, Boel Paro, last week's Torah portion, that Paro is from the language of Priya. Priya means revealed, and the Zohar says it's a source of all the lights of God, the source of Paro. In this world, Paro was terrible, but the idea is to transform it. How? By revealing his essence. Shekol Mitzvot Chadura, that all of his being will be permeated with the Ner mitzvah, that the commandments are a lamp and the Torah is the light which comes from it. Then a Jew will do his service, serving God, with a healthy soul and a healthy body, like the Kohen Gadol, like the high priest, that he had to be complete in everything. And even if there is the ups and downs, even if a person lights candles or he does the commandments, and it happens to be that he stops for a while, whatever, or he loses enthusiasm, like God says, for a short time I have left you, says God. It's a prophecy by Isaiah. A short time I have left you. Shechaser av o aim, and that if chas v'shalom somebody passes away, a mother, a father, since the gula, since the redemption has not yet come. So Harizeh, you read it, but this is if God forbid there's tragedy, especially now in Israel with all of the soldiers, Israeli soldiers getting killed, that there's a tragedy. So the Rebbe says it's a tremendous descent, but it's a descent only for the sake of elevation afterwards, only enabled to reach a higher level, like it says, Boel Paro, come to Paro. Paro was terrible, but in his source, it was ultimately infinitely good, whether in your soul. And the main thing is, B'nai Beso, the people in the house, the children, and mainly the girls, they should see to do the service of God, and what avoda, that the ones who departed, who passed away in life. What's the Rebbe talking about here? The previous Rebbe passed away. The previous Rebbe passed away. Terrible tragedy. The previous Rebbe, like I said, when he came to America in 1940, he was already paralyzed. Not totally. He was already paralyzed. And he got progressively more paralyzed to the point where he almost couldn't move and he couldn't speak. Nevertheless, when he got ill and he passed away, it was a tremendous shock and surprised everyone. No one thought it could possibly happen, but it did happen. And when he passed away, so okay, it's true, the soul lives forever, and the soul never. But nevertheless, the main thing is to be in this world. So the Rebbe says, when that happens, and someone, God forbid, passes away, so that's a sign to us that we have to continue and continue his work, her work, and fill up the vacuum which was left by the passing away of this person. And it says, just like if the seed, just like his children are alive, so he is alive. We keep those departed alive by means of doing the good deeds that they couldn't do. And in general, by means of adding on, this adds on more revelation of the soul. The Shoshana, and Shoshana is like a rose that receives from, like it says, the one who receives from God is called Shushan. Until it becomes totally united with Jews. Jews become totally united with God, with Hashem. It says that the rose has 13 petals of mercy revealed in the world, as this brings salvation and blessing to the whole world. May it be God's will that by means of just making resolutions on Yud Shvat to increase, to do more good, that everyone should also participate in everything they do and all of the customs which are on Yud Shvat. It says everyone should light a candle, everyone should get an aliyah on Shabbos, we should go over the mimer of the Rebbe, beginning with the Farbringans, which are every single place, and Farbringans, Hasidic get-togethers, and especially in this week, which is before Yud Shvat and afterwards, even before the dead rise, Yekitzu v'Ranu Shoch Ne'ofer, and then the previous Rebbe, he will be the first one to rise immediately, like it says, the word mamash means. Yusha mamash means really, be actually physically felt, that the tzaddikim will stand immediately in the raising of the dead, betchiyat hametim, immediately. And they will rejoice together, all of them, with the previous Rebbe in the days of his passing away. Immediately, there will be Beshalach Paro Ata'am. Now, this week's Torah portion, Paro sent the people. That's now, in other words, the evil and the bad things and the misfortunes and the disappointments and the tragedies which occurred in this world for the last 2,000 years, they themselves will elevate us, and Bnei Yisrael, the Jewish people, will go out with a Yad Ramah, with an uplifted hand. They'll go out from the exile, and they'll go to the Holy Land, to the holy city, Jerusalem, to the holy mountain, to the holy house, the Beit HaMikdash, the third temple. to the Holy of Holies. And then Hashem will rule the whole world forever and ever. It all depends on us doing one more good deed, saying one more good word, or even one more good thought can flip the whole thing around, that the world will be healthy like it's supposed to be. Good. Now let's just begin this week. Bashalach. We've gone a little bit over the time. Bashalach, here we go. Let's just start it. We'll start it again tomorrow. So when the Rebbe was speaking, Yud Shvat fell on Wednesday. This was in 1992, right? So this was 35 years ago. 33 years ago. So it fell on the fourth day of the week. And here the Rebbe speaks about the importance of the fourth day of the week. And he'll speak about also the importance of going out of Egypt, what it means going out of Egypt, and splitting the sea. And this we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow, and we will begin a new chapter in Dvar Malchut. Now, let us learn the Yom Yom. Yom Yom, 1 second. There we go. Turn this.
Morning.
1 minute. Good morning, Menachem. How are you?
Good morning. I just came